Today's topic, I am uncovering addiction and how we can recover from addiction. We're going to be really peeling off the layers of how addiction can start with substance use and also the fears and thoughts that we go through. So I have invited a very old dear friend of mine called Lauren. Lauren's journey, she talks really openly and candidly about her journey with substance abuse, addiction and recovery. Lauren.
Good morning.
We are very old friends.
Yep.
Now, I remember you back in the raving days where Adam and I used to go partying with you. So let's go back to those kind of times of, how old were we then?
So it could have been anywhere from 19 to 32. But I think it was more like 20.
Yes.
It was the 90s.
It was the 90s. It was the 90s. It was all the parties in the fields, the raves in the fields.
Yeah.
And we were very much into our house music. It was just our era.
So you were either that way or you weren't. And, just naturally kind of all my friends were that way inclined. I don't think you can ever really recapture that, that those feelings were euphoric, but it was fake.
That's when things started turning a bit sour, I think, for a lot of our friends who, unfortunately, some aren't even with us today because they obviously took a different road and the partying and the fun times stopped, and then everyone became overwhelmed with, well, we can't face reality and we can't face life because
we just want to go out and have a good time. And actually that the using of drugs and the drinking was perceived as having a good time. Actually, in reality, well, we really having the greatest time on earth? Probably not.
So tell me about your journey, because then I think things turned for you, didn't they?
I was a 90s party girl. That was sort of the badge then, wasn't it? You kind of, as I said, you either were or you weren't. And you either kind of grew up or you didn't. And I carried on and sort of until I couldn't carry on anymore. And, I hit a few rock bottoms and eventually just thought, no, I don't want to live this life anymore. I think when the bad really starts to outweigh the good, it's time to stop. And I really had problems stopping. It wasn't just, I stopped and skipped off into the sunset. It was like, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm never doing that again. And it's not just the drugs, it's the behaviours that go with it. So it's the drinking, it's the smoking, it's the casualness of stuff. And I'm like, no. So when I was 32, a really good friend of mine, he carried me into a meeting.
Okay.
And I never used again.
Wow.
And that's nearly 21 years ago.
When you went into the meeting, what kind of mind frame were you in at that point?
I mean, I literally looked around the room and it was actually an AA meeting.
Okay.
And it was on a Sunday night and it was in this old church in Marylebone. And I kind of looked around the room. I mean, and I share it. And it was full of old Uncle Alberts. Do you remember Uncle Albert?
Yeah.
From Only Fools?
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I doing here? What have I done to deserve this? And he just said to me, you know what, Lauren, go to a meeting tomorrow. So he picked me up and went to a meeting and it was completely different.
Okay.
And he was saying to me, just listen to the similarities of people's stories. So there was this girl, she was talking, and at the time I was living in Spain. I'd kind of done the geographical to Spain and I'd moved, and she was talking about how she moved around and he was digging me, like, are you listening? But I couldn't really hear or understand. And I just kept coming back. I don't know why. There was something I knew that I needed from those meetings, from the meetings. And I carried on and I've not had a sip of alcohol or anything else in.
I know it doesn't matter what you're using, it's why you're using. Am I correct?
Mhm.
But just to get the full picture, so you're a party girl, you know, raving kind of takes its turn. Then we all started clubbing.
It changed.
Yeah,
As I grew older, it grew into the bars.
which is when cocaine kind of kicked in.
And that's when the coke came in. So we'd be like a real 90s Sanderson Hotel, the Met Bar.
So it went from kind of a raving, partying, dancing culture to then going into bars and everyone was just high on coke.
You know what? And that's what I was using. And people say, well, how much did you use? You know what? I wasn't using excessive amounts of cocaine. I wasn't. I wasn't occasionally woke up in the morning, depending where I was, and might have had a line or two lines that morning. But generally, I went to bed incredibly paranoid, woke up, felt horrific, and then sort of that would have been the Saturday night and then started again on the Thursday night. So it wasn't daily. I'm a binger by nature. That's what I do. I'm not flat out, I wouldn't have been out all week. I know people that, went out on a Friday and they didn't resurface till the Tuesday wearing the same clothes, and that's not.
No, you were kind of like, I guess, like the middle of the road person. Yeah. So it was like you were saying, it wasn't 7 days a week. It was Thursday to Sunday.
Yeah. So what started out as a half a gram of coke in the very beginning did not ever end up. See, as the years went on and as time went on, you would never get that high. So the thing is with cocaine is that it induces serotonin.
Right.
Okay. So the minute you take that first hit, you get that high, and then the rest of the night is spent chasing.
Yeah, that first line.
And you never get there. And I never understood that until I came into recovery and I saw this addictions lady, and she said, you can chase. And it never dawned on me that that's what I was doing. But the minute she said it, it kind of really made sense.
And they also say that you like the chase. It's the chase that people get addicted to. It's not actually the drug itself. It's the excitement of, right, I'm going to make a call. It's Friday night. You'd sit there. So should we get one in? Yeah. You've always, and you'd be like, oh yeah, we're gonna have some fun tonight. We're gonna have some fun tonight. And I'm sure that there are. And the reason why I think it's important for us to be talking really openly about this is because we have a next generation of kids that are getting in with drugs.
There are all these new drinks that have come out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the Aperol, that looks amazing. And everyone's going, it tastes disgusting.
It's vile, by the way.
But then all the different coloured gins.
Yeah.
Like, I never drank gin because I was sick on it as a young person. I never kind of could drink it again. But, there are these occasions when you think that looks really, really nice. And then you just play the tape forward and you think, like that.
Mm-hmm. So you basically get to a point where you realise I've got to knock this on the head, because if I don't, I feel like that I'm going to tip myself over the edge.
I was teetering very much. I had one foot off the ledge.
Okay.
I wasn't quite, they put you in a lift and, I wasn't quite at ground zero. I was hovering between the first floor and ground zero. I was on the edge. And that was, I'll say like I'm a sensible idiot.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I'm a sensible idiot. I'm not sensible at all, but I'm like, I have that moral thing in me where I can go, okay, you
need to stop now.
The line.
Yeah. And were there any other people going through a similar thing as you within your circle of friends that kind of...
One of my best friends, yeah, he was. And actually it would, he'd sort of go away on business and he'd chuck it in on me and say to me, I feel horrendous. And then I'd go, oh my God, because there's always drama when you use, isn't there? There's always there's always some form of drama. So there'd be like a drama and I'd be on the and he'd be like, I'm having a nervous breakdown. So, I mean, in amongst all of this nonsense that I was going through, I managed to get him an appointment, and he got clean, and he was clean for a year. And he's like, I can't hang out with you because you're using and whatever, but I'm here when you're ready. And I was like, oh, of course, holier than thou. You know, you do
yeah,
like
yeah.
It's like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
You know, lo and behold, it became too much. And
so was he the one that took you to the meeting? Right, okay. So you went through that journey together
for quite a long time. So, but yeah, I'd say probably the first 2.5 years, we kind of stuck together. Yeah, recovery really is the most painful and beautiful thing ever, because you get to know yourself. And the pain of getting to know yourself is painful, you know, and discovering everything that you thought you were, you're not. So I thought I was like this really cool, chilled out, you know, party girl. Actually, I wasn't. I was like neurotic, and I wasn't as cool as I thought I was, or as chilled as I thought I was. And it was like, oh, okay. So I got to the bones of who I really am, and I'm still doing it.
Yeah. Did you do the 12 steps?
Yeah.
So does everybody do the 12 step?
There are many different ways to recover.
Okay.
You know, 12 steps are one way. I think, you know, for me, that was the right way. Okay. And for other people, it may not be that way.
I've also heard, and I was listening to another podcast, which is, I think, you know, which spurred me to talk to you, that they used to, back in the day, really sort of tell people, you're not, you know, if they relapse, you just walk away from them. They've got to hit rock bottom. But actually, what they were saying is give people a safe space, because what somebody needs when they relapse is care and love. And I will be here for you. And it's okay that you've relapsed, and it's fine. Be kind to yourself.
This is a relapsing illness.
Yeah.
This is a relapsing illness, and I will say it again. I'm just incredibly lucky that I've never relapsed. Okay. Because my pride's massive, and I don't want to go and pick up a white key. I like the relapse.
Yeah, good for you.
I don't want to drink or use it. It doesn't come into my, you know, it doesn't come into my mind.
Doesn't serve you anymore.
And it doesn't serve me, and it never did. And that's what I learned. Actually, it suppressed my personality. It didn't allow me to be who I naturally am. But you do get serial relapses. And you know what? If you hang around the illness for too long, I put myself at danger. I put myself at risk. Yes, I will always take someone to a meeting, or I always did take people to meetings, or I would always, you know, I've had friends that have relapsed on me. Have I let them go? No, I'm still their friend. But at what point do you have boundaries?
Yeah.
You know what? Not you're on your own. You get them the help that they need, or they need to go and get the help that they need. I mean, I've spoken or phoned up people that I know that have rehabs, or, you know, and said, can you help this person? But it's coming from me. It needs to come from them.
Yeah. Because I think one of the biggest things is, and, you know, I had a partner once who was an addict, and we managed to get them into the Priory, but they broke all of the rules. You know, you're not allowed to speak to me. You're not allowed to communicate. You've just got to go in there and do your thing. And I was getting phone calls. I've left my dressing gown at home. Could you come and drop it off? And I would go in and have meetings, support meetings, so I would know how to deal with the situation and not help, because you can't be codependent. That was another thing. You have people that are around a user, they become a codependent person, or
they're codependent before.
Yeah. Okay, so you enable them, don't you?
The people pleasing. The thing that really helped me when I went into recovery is that finally I found out what was wrong with me. Okay. And then when you're around other people that have the same thing as you, because it's not about the drink and it's not about the drugs. It's got nothing to do with that. You know, they are the symptoms of what's going on for you. And generally, you find that you have the same issues. You know, look, you know, you have people from all different walks of life in recovery. You know, would I have generally mixed with them if I hadn't have gone into recovery? Probably not. But what draw the bonds that draw you together are your common problems.
Okay.
And that is emotional stuff.
Yeah. I know that when I was having to deal with a partner who was an addict, and all that came with it, because it was scary, frightening. I just remember him being very secretive. It was all about secrets and lies, and you just, on the other end, felt unnerved the whole time. You didn't know where you were at. How do you think your family felt?
It never really impacted them. They knew that I'd gone into recovery. I told them. I remember my mum, when I was quite young, phoning up one of my friends saying, "Is Lauren taking drugs?" And I can't even remember what she said, to be honest with you. I think she denied it. She sort of phoned me and said, "You know, your mum's asked me if you're taking drugs and da-da-da-da." And when I got clean, I was 32, so I was long left the nest. And I was living my own life, and that life was really, at that point, just going to meetings and hanging out with people that I met, and they saw that I was just probably happier.
So do you when you do your 12 steps, you obviously say that you explained that you have to kind of go through this kind of journey of, you know, who have I hurt, what have I done? Did your parents come into it at all?
Yes, but I make living amends.
Okay.
So when I'm wrong, I promptly admit it.
Right.
I mean, my parents were just happy that I was okay. And, you know, I never really, I know that as a parent, I'm sure that my mum was like, "What did I do wrong?" I kind of protected them, I think. It wasn't necessary that I went into it massively with them. They just knew I was in recovery, and every year I was clean, they were happy, you know.
I mean, that's, you know, I guess you're very, very lucky that you had parents that were that open and flexible and accepting.
I don't think my using really affected anyone but me, because
do you not think they worried about you though? Because if you obviously haven't got it with your kids, but I know that, you know,
yet I haven't got it with my kids yet.
Do you honestly think that
who knows?
Right.
I try.
How do you think you would deal with it?
Oh, I think I'd be horrendous.
Do you?
Because I'm very open with my kids. I have allowed my kids to drink, but really sensibly. If my kids, I mean, and when I say my kids are drunk, they've probably drunk on like 2 occasions. And I've explained to them, you know, this is normal drinking, that is not normal drinking. You know, that is crossing the line. I think it's the one thing that has really worried me since they were babies, if they would end up drinking, using. But I'm very open with them.
So if there is anyone listening that I guess is in recovery or just kind of on their journey, what
struggling to get into,
or even this could spark off that actually I think I've got a problem, or maybe I'm worried about my kids,
that there is help available and you're not alone. I think that when you're trying to get into recovery, and you know that there's this feeling of isolation, like you're the only person with this behavior, you're the only person that's doing that. You're not alone. And I think that, you know, it's been proven time and time again, and even more so now as time's gone along. This is why recovery is so successful, is because when you are in a community, okay, you adapt much better and you've got the support system around you. So reach out and just say, "I need help. I need help." And if you're a parent of a child who's struggling, it's very difficult. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. And I don't have experience of that per se, but get in touch and, and I'm just going to say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it
drink. Yeah, no, absolutely.
So, and for people in early recovery, and if you do keep relapsing, just keep coming back.
Yeah.
And the miracle.
Yeah. I heard somebody today, Andy Ramage, who I've interviewed, he basically said that there is a cycle. You will relapse you can relapse between 7 to 10 times. That's kind of the cycle of it. So don't think it's all a plain sailing. You are obviously an absolute example, and yeah,
there are quite a few of me,
that haven't relapsed, but people do.
People do. It's a relapsing illness.
Yeah,
keep relapsing. Just tomorrow is a new day.
Yeah,
and I have to tell you, I've been clean in drink and drugs, but my eating, I've relapsed loads of times, and tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah,
and you can start your day at any time of the day.
Right. Okay. So interesting.
So what kept me going, actually, and I'm just going to leave it on there, is I don't have to drink for this next 1 minute. I don't have to take drugs for the next 5 minutes. And I remember very early recovery, I phoned up the lady that I kind of was seeing. She is a therapist, addiction specialist. And it was a Saturday night. I'm really lucky she didn't answer the phone, actually. It was a Saturday night, and I was in my pajamas, and I went, I'm going to school. I was in Spain. I was going to school. And she went, no, you're not. She said, what you're going to do is you are going to take everything out of your wardrobe and you're going to put it all back. So it gave me that pause, that 5 minutes not to react. And that's what recovery is about. It's finding that 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute that you go, I'm going to do it. Actually, no, I'm not.
Yeah. Wow, that's really powerful. Really powerful. I think the most important piece of information that Lauren really shared with me was that addiction is an illness. It's not the substance that we're using. It's something within ourselves, and it just covers, it masks that emotion. The drug, the substance, whatever it is, releases a good feel factor within us, and we constantly chase that. That's the addiction. But if we strip that away, and we have to look at ourselves, and we have to really dig deep to uncover who we are and why we would be using substances, or why we would be trying to fulfill that inner happiness. Like, my cup needs to be full. Why does my cup need to be full? I think that was one really strong conversation that we had. And then the other one really was about relapsing, not to be hard on ourselves. I just think that's just an amazing, empowering conversation that we had, and she's just truly inspirational to me. If you are indeed struggling with addiction, or if you know anybody who is, there we are providing some links, some help in the description of this podcast.